Hi everyone. What do we mean by trinomial and how do we factorise it? Trinomial, they've got the three terms and they're actually in the bigger picture called polynomials, but we've commonly referred to these as trinomials. How do you get a trinomial? If I expand the bracket and I've only got x being used, I can expand that x times x will be x squared. I can go that x, remember we're multiplying each time. That x times that 3 will be 3x. This is what I call the eyebrow method. Most people call it eyebrow method. That 2 by that x will become 2x, and that 2 by that 3 will become 6. That's what happened. Have a look what happened. This becomes 3 of the x, that becomes 2 of the x, so all together we're going to have 5 of the x. So those two numbers actually ended up adding up to that 5. How do we get the 6? We're multiplying the 2 by the 3, got that 6. So the 6 come from the multiplication and the 5 come from the addition. So let's go back to the question down here and see what's going on. For me, I still write, how can I get two numbers and multiply to 6? So that's 1 and 6, and the other one is 2 and 3. Which one of those add up to 5? So go back to here. The 2 times the 3 gave us a 6. But the 2 and the 3 added up to 5. They really added up to 5x with the x's with them. But in principle, two numbers that multiply to 6, that add to 5. So I always just write down 1 times 6. I always start with 1. That's what students who don't, they mess it up or they miss out on the ones that it should have been. So 1 and 6, after 1 comes 2. And I say which one of those adds up to 5. And the 2 plus the 3 adds up to 5. So let's have a look what happens. I know it's going to become a 2, I know it's going to become a 3, because I multiply the 2 times the 3 to get the 6. How do I get an x squared? I multiply an x by an x, so there's the multiplication. So by the way, factorise means put a multiplication into it. So what's controlling this one here is two lots of addition. But when I write it like this, it's the multiplication there between the two brackets that controls it. That's why it's called factorise. Now everything's positive, so I'd write that as positive, and now it's factorised. So go over to the next one. Two numbers that multiply with 10, and yeah, a lot of people ignore me, they won't bother to write it down, or they won't start with 1. The reality is pretty quickly, most people don't have to because they can see the numbers in their head. So it's either a 1 and 10 or a 2 and 5. So I'm back to here. How can I get an x squared? If there was an x here and there was an x there, the x times the x, if I had the eyebrow method, by the way, a lot of people use the FOIL method. And FOIL stands for first, which means multiply them first, then multiply the outside, the first, multiply them, multiply the outsides, multiply the insides, and multiply the last. So it depends on what system you're used to. So the x times the x will give an x squared. Now in reality, you could say to yourself, this could be a 1 and 10, or it could be a 2 and a 5. How can you tell which one it is? 2 plus 5 is 7. So they have to multiply the 10, then they've got to add to 7. So it's interesting we start at the back, and the reason we start at the back is that 2 5s there give us the last number, which is 10, and then we talk about what happens in the middle. So there it is, factorised. Have a look at one more. Two numbers that multiply to 9, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. Everything's positive, so just on the intro like this, I like just do everything positive and get the hang of it. Which of those adds up to 6? 3 and 3 add up to 6, so they're going to multiply to 9, and they're going to add to 6. And of course, a little while we'll have negatives, but this is just with all positives. So that would be an x times an x would be the x squared. So really it's the reverse of expanding the brackets. So we'll say expand, and then the reverse of it, instead of saying reverse expand the brackets we just talked about, factorise. And factorise means put the multiplication in. Let's have a look. The 3 plus the 3 is the 6. So that's a 3 and that's a 3, and everything's add. So I've got them as add. And then if we wanted to, because there's two of them the same, I can go x plus 3 and write the squared on it, because anything times itself will be a squared. I am going to go one more. What if we go x squared plus 4x plus a 3? and we need two numbers that multiply the 3. Only choice is 1 and 3, so that's a pretty easy one. 1 plus 3 will add up to 4. So multiply the 3, add up to 4, they become 2 brackets, and the x squared comes from the x and the x. The 3 is a 1 and a 3, no choice about that. And then they become an addition, because everything's addition on the whole question. Thanks.